Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Hitchhikers Guide to the Movies. We are going to discuss episode 6 of WandaVision, which was probably the craziest episode thus far. I say that every episode, but really, this one opened our eyes to a lot of different things and definitely proposed more questions than answered. So, as always, Sam, what did you think of the episode?
I know this is the quintessential question that we have every episode.
Right.
Well, I loved it.
Okay.
Again, this has been a series that has improved upon itself each and every time.
Every episode
has been better each and every time. So, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of new stuff over the next few episodes.
Right.
We're winding down. I mean, there's only supposed to be 9 episodes, and some people have said that there might potentially be a 10th episode. Mm-hmm. If that 10th episode does come, it's going to be interesting.
It's going to change the game of what we know as WandaVision.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely going to change the game.
Before we jump into a little bit more about the episode, should we show off some of our Hitchhikers gear merch that we got going on?
Of course.
Right over here. If you
guys can see it, behind our mics, we have our new merch. Mm-hmm. This is our logo. I think we're going to be testing a few suppliers to see how we can get this going. And hopefully we'll be selling some merch soon. So hit us up if you're interested.
Yeah, we're going to be dropping a lot of merch hopefully in the future once we get our supplier down and everything like that. But yeah, so let's jump into it. Episode 6 started off with, obviously this is the 90s now.
Yep.
We're in the 90s where it's more futuristic than anything we've seen thus far.
100%.
And the opening scene was taken from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
Which I thought was really awesome because I thoroughly enjoyed that show.
Oh, that used to be one of my favorite shows to watch.
Yeah.
It was a great show to watch, and definitely pulled a lot of, nostalgia from that show in general. But we saw a lot of, the Maximoff family. So that was a nice introduction to not only Wanda, but now we've been introduced to Billy and Tommy.
Yeah.
So the children. First, we saw them as babies. They grew up a little bit, but now we're getting a real introduction to who they are. I think we can even call this their origin story.
Yeah. We're seeing their powers come out. We're seeing how, what's the fast one's name again?
That's Billy Speed.
Billy Speed, right. Yep. His speed is similar to that of Quicksilver's. Mm-hmm. He has that same abilities.
Yes.
He's showing it off a lot in the episode. And Wanda starts noticing how her kids are starting to develop these powers.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other son is a little bit of a late bloomer, but we do see his powers start to come out.
Oh, definitely, yeah. We get to see his powers come out, and we get to see what he can actually do. We kind of knew already that he was going to take after Wanda, and he's going to have that telekinetic power.
Yeah.
Now we see that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
He stops his brother from running, and he can hear Vision outside of the Hex.
Yeah, he has those telekinetic abilities.
Yeah. So it's absolutely amazing to see this, and I think this could be an introduction to the Young Avengers. Mm-hmm. Could be an introduction to a few different areas, but I feel like this is going to be an introduction to the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
Who's taking the mantle after what happened in Endgame. Mm-hmm. We lost about half of the Avengers in Endgame, so
right.
We're down to they need to regroup and rebuild, and because the villains aren't stopping.
And it's going to be really interesting to see how the future movies start developing these young actors. Mm-hmm. And it's cool because this is our chance at more origin stories, something we've been craving to see. New heroes, new mutants developing in the Marvel timeline.
Yeah.
And it was really cool, too, to see in the beginning of the episode, Wanda in her comic book costume, as well as Vision. Yes. And we saw Vision actually...
It was comic book-esque for Vision. I mean, I think it was a little off, but they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Because he's not really there to show, like, hey, I'm an Avenger. He's there to be, he's supposed to be a Mexican wrestler. That's what he's supposed to be.
Right.
He's not supposed to be, Vision.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think they kind of had to take that little, make that little twist.
Yep.
From the creative side. We're definitely seeing some interesting stuff. I mean, overall, what did you think of the episode?
The episode was great. I loved the new dynamic of comedy in this sitcom.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool because it's more modern
Yeah.
than anything we've seen, and it's like crazy jump from especially the last episode, how it was so old-timey. It was really cool to see, the beginning scenes with like a camera, and to show how now the dynamic of each character in that show is completely different. Like, it's humorous.
Yes, 100%. We're seeing more character development.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting to see not only, like that serious part of Wanda concealing all this stuff that's happening, and, I'm still a firm believer that she has no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
And that this is more of a psychological, subconscious reaction
Mm-hmm.
to all of the trauma between Infinity Wars and Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
Losing Vision, finding out that she came back and Vision didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is all of it coming out.
Yeah.
Because, she's lost the two most important people in her life. Pietro.
Vision and Pietro.
Yeah. So now this is kind of like the result
Mm-hmm.
of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we haven't seen everything, and we don't know what's happening next. We don't know where this is all heading,
Mm-hmm.
because this could either easily be, there could be a twist thrown in there. We've already seen a few twists where our theories have been proven wrong.
And proven right. I gotta say,
right.
you have been very consistent with your estimates.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate that you had some of those clues and you pinpointed some things. I did believe that Agatha was more of the villain in the show, and it was interesting to see that scene. Obviously, guys, if you haven't seen the episode, go check it out. This is a spoilers episode, as all our episodes really are, but Agatha now more to me seems like she's a victim to this, just as much as every single person in Westview is. And to see her cry and be bewildered to see Vision shows that she's definitely a victim of Wanda's subconscious chaos as much as everybody else is.
Definitely. And something that I actually saw in while I was watching the new Rockstars recap video.
Mm-hmm.
They actually mentioned that, Agatha could have been, or Agnes. We're not going to call her Agatha because we don't know it's Agatha.
Agnes.
But we'll say Agnes.
Mm-hmm.
That Agnes may have been a part of it in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but it became overwhelming and she ended up under the curse.
Mm-hmm.
Or under the spell.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting take on it, and I think that could be accurate. I think in the end we might find that out, but I don't know how we'll find that out, because I think we need to have Wanda essentially say it.
Yeah.
She needs to acknowledge what she's done and what happened and how this all became a thing.
Yeah. And as we see in the beginning of the episode, they're going trick-or-treating. It's Halloween. It's a special Halloween episode.
Mm-hmm.
We see Evan Peters start to play more of a prominent role in his coming to Westview. He's now the baby man-child, as they called him.
Yep.
He seems very close with Billy, obviously because Billy has inherited his mutant powers,
yes,
if you will. And even with the kids, he's very attached to them, which obviously in the beginning, in episode 1, we had theories of Mephisto playing a role. And
it could still be the case.
Could still be the case, but I think me and you both are now leaning towards maybe Nightmare.
Yep.
Actually, because I think in the episode he got name dropped twice. Not directly, but obviously, Wanda said Nightmare, and even Quicksilver now said the word Nightmare.
Yeah. It's interesting. I think, and there's also a possibility of the Grim Reaper. I know that was teased at in the beginning of the first episode when Vision was kind of floating in between the floorboards, and they kind of showed his helmet. They showed the Grim Reaper's helmet, and going back to the comics, if you actually go back to the comics, there was actually a relationship between the Grim Reaper and Vision, because the Grim Reaper wanted to take Vision's body to put his brother's essentially his brother's soul into it, because Vision and his brother share the same like brainwaves, which was
They're compatible.
They're compatible. So it would actually be kind of like, so that would be an interesting direction.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Grim Reaper kind of lured Wanda there and found a way to bring Vision back in order to transplant his brother into his body. So it's a possibility.
The most genius thing about Marvel is they can easily hint at certain Easter eggs, if you will, but you don't know if that's Marvel just sort of paying tribute to that one, series or character or something, or whether it's a major plot point that we will see in the coming rest of the episodes. As you know, episode 9 will be the last episode. So, I mean, we got 3 more episodes for them to really wrap this thing up and gain momentum.
For this season, at least. I mean, obviously, we don't know if there's going to be another season, but I think there will be. I mean, I think it's too popular for them not to make another season. Now, I do think that Marvel is great at putting those little teasers and, little Easter eggs in there.
Playing with my emotions, man.
And sometimes they're putting it in there for the plot. Sometimes they're putting it in there just to troll us.
Right.
So, Marvel is genius at that. So, and sometimes I hate them, but I love it at the end of the day.
It keeps you wanting more and more and more. And they really did a very good job, keeping us at the edge of our seat with every single episode. And the momentum that they build even towards the episode just makes you be like, oh, I can't wait for that next episode to come out.
Oh, yeah. Like this episode, we definitely got a lot of answers, but we ended up having more questions out of it. As every episode has been, we end up having more questions by the time we come back to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we spent the last hour pretty much just watching some recap videos, watching a whole bunch of stuff that we found on YouTube, rewatching the episode twice actually.
One time with audio descriptions on, just to see if we can get any hints, but it really didn't help us as much as the previous episodes.
Yeah, the previous episodes we did notice that some of the YouTubers and podcasters who are doing recaps have been using the audio descriptions because it gives Disney puts little hints out there to remind you of who these people are.
Yeah.
I remember watching one of the videos when they first introduced Quicksilver, and they actually said Quicksilver, even though he never said that he never kind of came out and said, "Hey, I'm Quicksilver."
Yeah.
No one ever said it in the show.
Nope, just Pietro.
And even he never acknowledged that. If you remember when Wanda said Pietro, he just kind of looked at her. He never acknowledged that I'm Pietro. So, but he didn't acknowledge it in the last episode 6.
Right.
He said, Uncle Petey's here. So I guess he's kind of going by Pete now. I guess that's his new name.
Yeah.
But we definitely saw a lot of interesting things. First we saw Vision take off by himself, not go out with the kids on Halloween.
Right. It seemed like there was some tension, as Billy pointed out in the beginning of the episode. He said, Mom and Dad have been fighting a little bit more. There seems to be some tension growing between Wanda and Vision, because as Vision becomes more self-aware of what exactly is going on, he gained some insight with Agnes into saying, "Oh, you're an Avenger." He said, "What is an Avenger?" He just found out that before his life in Westview that he was dead.
He had no memories of Westview, so he didn't really know what was going. He never had any memories out of Westview, which was why things were a little weird for him. And I think that's why when he started to grasp some new memories, he was like, "Well, what does this all mean?" He didn't understand it because he doesn't remember being an Avenger. He doesn't remember that whole past life. So there's some interesting areas there. But he did do a few things that were interesting, because he kind of was exploring the outskirts of town.
Right.
So he was seeing the areas where Wanda's magic couldn't really control. So her magic is really confined to the immediate vicinity of her.
Yeah, as we see him go to the edge of town, you see a lot of characters lifeless.
They're frozen.
Frozen. Some of them kind of malfunctioning, just like we saw their neighbor in the beginning, just glitching and malfunctioning. And that kind of gives us a hint to the fact of Wanda's limited capabilities within this, parallel universe, whatever you'll call it.
But again, we did see Wanda have that huge blast of energy expanding the town.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're jumping all over the place, but this show jumps all over the place, so we kind of have to.
You kind of have to go from point to point, but
Exactly.
but
as we did see, Wanda's burst of energy and showing how effortless it was for her.
So to play into
launch. So I think she does have that power, but I think she only has that power when she is aware.
When she is emotionally motivated, right? We've seen her
emotionally motivated, but also aware of what's happening. Like now, like in that moment, she was emotionally, distraught. Vision was about to be gone again.
Well, let's describe that a little bit more. So as the plot kind of goes further, we see Vision veering off. He notices Agnes at the edge of the city line on Ellis Avenue. He approaches her and she talks about how she made a wrong turn and she's trying to find the town square. And he goes, "How are you lost in this town that you grew up in? You grew up here. How do you not know your way there?" So he touches her temple, makes her self-aware, and that's when he starts getting a little bit more insight on to who he was before Westview. Finds out he's an Avenger, finds out that he passed away in his past, in the life before Westview. And he, this is what helped me gain, more information about Agnes too, that she's a victim of this just like anybody else. So he touches her temple, she starts, shrieking, she's like bewildered and emotionally distraught about everything, just like we've seen every character who becomes a little bit self-aware in this similar reaction. And then he makes a promise to her that he'll figure this out and he'll try to exit Westview to see, if he can.
He wants to see what's beyond Westview because he's never left. Nobody's left. And they've all said that, we can't leave. So he never really thought about that in the beginning, the first couple episodes when people were saying that. He never really thought about that. But now after seeing, being able to actually interact with people and get them out of this trance.
Yep.
He's able to find out the truth and see what's happening.
Build a little bit more to the story.
Exactly. So I think he now is more aware as to what's going on. And obviously he doesn't want Wanda to know because he needs to explore for himself.
Yeah.
And see what the cause is.
Wanda clearly is not for that. She wants to stay within this world. And as we see, Curiosity killed the cat at the end, where Vision attempts to break through the portal.
He eventually gets out, but only for the portal to pull him back in.
And rip pieces of him
He's essentially
apart.
dying.
And he's dying because he can't survive unless he's in that, portal or that reality.
Well, he doesn't exist outside that reality.
Yep.
And I think that's the key, is that he doesn't exist outside that reality. I know earlier we had a theory of, if he leaves, does he keep the Mind Stone?
Does he stay alive?
Does he keep the Mind Stone and become Vision again? Mm-hmm. And initially we said but I said that he doesn't.
And I said that he does.
And
that was sad to see, but I think there's definitely going to be more to the plot that's going to help us establish whether or not he can or can't. I mean, it's not a definitive answer yet.
Exactly.
We know in his current form, he's unable to.
Yeah.
And so as he exits, the barrier, he attempts to gain help from the soldiers, and they're sort of just watching him. And that's when director, I think his name's Howard, right?
Hayward.
Yep,
Hayward. Director Hayward.
Very close.
Almost there.
Director Hayward is like, oh, so he does want to get out. And so I guess that helped him gain some intentions of Vision to see, oh, he doesn't want to stay in this reality. He could be an ally, right, to his cause, because obviously...
See, I don't even think he would be an ally. I think Hayward wants him to be an ally because it seems like Hayward already had some intel based on what Darcy was looking at. Darcy Lewis was she hacked into the system. She found some of his hidden files.
And it seems very malicious what he's doing, and we're trying to figure out
he's covering up a lot.
What else is he covering up? What does he need from Vision? Why is he focusing on Vision? Why was he tracking him with the vibranium DK? Yeah. Like, he is trying to understand Vision more and see maybe what can further the plot with his own agenda.
Yeah, I do think that with with the partnership that Sword had with S.H.I.E.L.D., and that Tony Stark shared a lot of his information, a lot of his knowledge with S.H.I.E.L.D., I think Sword eventually did get some wind of, the creation of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe Hayward is trying to recreate Ultron using Vision, because that was the ultimate vessel for Ultron.
Yeah.
So I think he may be trying to recreate Ultron.
Could he possibly be a secret AIM agent?
He could be.
He could be, right? Because as you said before, off camera, that AIM always has these malicious intents to overtake the Avengers.
Yep.
And I think he sees Vision's amnesia and distrust of Wanda to his advantage, right? Because Wanda's obviously not telling him the truth. Maybe he can sort of, convince Vision to join the cause, or Definitely. He can actually utilize him.
But we've also seen in some of the promo videos for episode 7 and beyond that Wanda and Vision eventually work together to fight Sword and to protect their home.
Right.
So I feel like after what just happened, this is when we're gonna see, that them unite against that common goal of, protecting their life. Because now they have 2 kids.
Yeah.
They have a life. They have family.
And I think the only way that they're going to unite is that they have to see some malicious intents from Sword. Something that convinces them that, okay, although this is not right? This is not humane to the people here in Westview. There's something evil, more sinister, lurking on the outside of the barrier.
There was another part of the promo videos that we saw, which was, that truck, which is what Monica was going to meet her, her engineer friend, her, that aerospace engineer who's going to help her out.
Which is another suspicion of ours that it could be Mr. Fantastic in the flesh.
It could be Mr. Fantastic, or it could be Shuri from Wakanda.
Yeah.
So,
that'd be really cool.
Oh, it'd be awesome to see. Either one of them would be awesome to see.
Right.
But whoever she's going to meet, whoever her contact is going to supply her with something that can break through and not be changed at the molecular level.
Right.
Which means they have to have some sort of device that's going to essentially block out those waves.
Yeah.
Which will be interesting. I don't know where that could be, who's going to be, who that's going to be. But I think that could be, that triggering moment where Wanda and Vision know that, hey, we're under attack now. We have to unite. Even, not knowing Monica's intentions. They don't know her intentions. They don't know what she's trying to do.
Who?
Monica. Wanda and Vision don't know what Monica wants to do,
but to some degree they trust her.
They trust her. Monica has, she's continuously said, not to them, but she's said it multiple times, that she trusts Wanda, and she knows that Wanda's dealing with something and she needs to save her.
There's something bigger than just Wanda's doing all this. If it is a subconscious reaction, then it's Wanda's.
It's out of fear.
Yeah.
It's out of fear. It's out of trauma. She's dealing with a lot of emotions.
So as you described, Wanda's emotional bursts or bursts of power that ultimately increase the size of the barrier.
Yeah.
We kind of got a hint to the end of it that she didn't increase it all the way. Obviously, her powers dissolved and she went back to normal. So it seems like she's definitely increased the area of the barrier. We saw that some, Sword trucks turned into what was the Westview reality, old cars, or I think an ice cream truck, or a funnel cake truck, and the helicopter turning into the hot air balloon.
Yep, and some of the agents turning into circus performers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of possible areas that can happen now, and one of the theories that we've been, a lot of people have been hinting at and kind of mentioning, is that this could be the creation of the mutants. But I don't think that Disney would go that far as to make the mutants, make everybody a mutant. That would kind of
defeat the purpose.
So I think certain people will become mutants if they had a certain gene.
Yep.
Which is the X gene from the X-Men. That's how we found out that they were all, they all had that. They all became mutants because they had the X gene.
Which I just thought of something interesting. Monica was hinting at her guys up the hill. Maybe he got sucked into the vortex, and this is where we're going to see him take part in Westview.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. I know Monica and Director Wu got away in the car. So ultimately, if you guys don't know, Wanda increased the barrier because Vision was on the outskirts on the outside of the
And he's
barrier,
dying.
and she increased it to get him back. And as we see the barrier go over him, he comes back to life with all his pieces, and essentially he's back to life.
Yeah.
So she did this because Vision was dying, and obviously she sees that Sword keeps meddling with her reality, and so out of anger and out of love for Vision, she increased the barrier. And this is where we see the plot going further and further, and now we're gonna have to see what the next episode would be, the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be even modern,
Yeah.
more modern now.
Yeah, definitely. And then we kind of see a little bit. It kind of gave me a hint of Modern Family.
Yeah.
That kind of that fourth wall talking directly to the camera, where they have those kind of individual interviews. It kind of gave me that vibe of that type of show.
You're talking about the promos of episode 7.
Episode 7, yeah. And those little hints that we saw. I think that's possibly where it's heading.
That's interesting.
I think that's the area, the direction that they're going, where they're gonna have different characters talking to the camera. And I think we're gonna see more in episode 7, but they're not gonna break anything. They're not gonna unveil that cameo, I think, until episode 9.
Episode 9.
I don't think they would unveil it earlier than that.
Yeah, and we see a scene of Wanda and Quicksilver in front of the movie theater, where we saw The Incredibles listed as one of the movie titles, as well as The Parent Trap.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, for those who don't know, I actually was enlightened by you, Islam, that The Incredibles is based off of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to our theory that not the cameo necessarily, but Monica's guy could be Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. And he may not even be mentioned. He may just it may just be kind of like a hint there, like, hey, Mr. Fantastic, or
Yeah.
he's the one who gave, he's the one who helped out with this, but he may not actually show up. He may not be there.
Right.
He may not be on screen. And maybe kind of like an off-screen thing.
Right.
So that could be the possibility where he's mentioned but not physically there. The other option, I think with the Incredibles and that tied to the Fantastic Four, you could have a lot of different characters that come out of it too.
Right. Yeah.
So that could be they could be tying the Fantastic Four into Marvel now, leading in. They're slowly tying some of these pieces back into the Marvel universe. So we're gonna see some stuff over the next couple episodes, but overall, they showed a lot of stuff. That was a very short, 30-minute episode.
They always are.
But there was just so much going on.
I'm curious to see if the last episode might be an hour or it might be like 45 minutes.
Could be.
Because it seems like that's usually their trend. The last episode is going to be a little bit longer.
It could be. And
I'm hoping for it because it would be very, it seems like there's a lot of material that they do need to put in episode 9. But obviously there's going to be a lot left to the imagination because this isn't their last show or movie or season. So, obviously the new movies coming up are going to help. WandaVision is there to push the narrative of the, Winter Soldier and the Falcon. And what did we say the name of that new Spider-Man movie is going to be? Homebound? Or
yeah, I think it was Homebound.
Homebound.
Yep.
So that's the Spider-Man movie that we're hoping to see, all 3 Spider-Mans and Doctor Strange.
And we're also getting the introduction of Doctor Strange, because now Doctor Strange is going to have Wanda in it. Now Wanda could either be working with Doctor Strange, or Doctor Strange could be working against Wanda. Because maybe she's created something that is going to be damaging to that magical world. Or
to reality, right? Because it's Doctor Strange. You remember there was this confrontation, I think it was the Age of Ultron, or it could have been in Infinity War, where Tony Stark is meeting Doctor Strange for the first time. And he's like, who's this magician guy? And he goes, I protect your reality, douchebag.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's
Doctor Strange's job, essentially, is to protect people's reality. And if WandaVision...
Well, protecting time is essentially his job. His job as, the Sorcerer Supreme is to protect time and protect the timelines. So I feel like if he feels that there's a threat to the timeline, he has to protect it by any means necessary.
Right.
Which could also mean that he has to fight against Wanda.
And Vision.
And Vision.
Because if you're fighting with Wanda, you're fighting with Vision.
So
and if you're fighting with Vision, you're fighting with Wanda.
Exactly. So it's going to be that'll be a very interesting dynamic. But it could also be that he's there to assist her against something bigger than them.
Right.
We don't know the extent of this. I mean, I think the multiverse of madness is going to be absolutely ridiculous. We're going to see we're going to see just so many different areas that could possibly, different timelines essentially, that could possibly stem off it for the future. I think now we're getting an introduction for a few different movies. Yeah. We're getting a few introduction for a few different movies. Spider-Man is one of them. Doctor Strange. We get an introduction to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Right. Get an introduction to Loki, which could also have. I mean, we did talk about it last episode. There was an interesting play of in some of the trailers and some of the images from the show that Mephisto's involved. Right. How is Mephisto involved there?
We don't really know, but you got to keep watching WandaVision. And for all those who don't know, we had episode 2, which was going to talk about episode 4 of WandaVision. We tried to upload it. We're still having some technical difficulties trying to figure out, how the proper way to shoot and film this podcast is. But, like we said, it's a work in progress, and we're only going to really get better from here on out. But for all those who, didn't get to see that episode, we pretty much dived a little bit deeper into those episodes. I'd recommend going and watch those to kind of understand where we are now in episode 6. But yeah, I think next episode, hopefully we're going to shoot that next week. We're cutting this episode a little bit shorter because I feel like we got the gist of episode 6. Yeah. And there's not really much else to say until we see the upcoming episodes and essentially the last episode.
Oh, 100%.
It's really going to be a good...
100%. We're not going to really know what's going on until the next 2 episodes, really. I think after episode 8, we will get we'll have a good grasp as to where it's going. But again, they're never going to tell us what's happening until we get to the end. And, there have been rumors of episode 10 being a final episode. Based on a few, some internet sleuths looking around and finding out that one of the actors that was on WandaVision has actually been slated for 10 episodes, not 9, which could hint that there's going to be a 10th episode, a bonus episode. Right. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, shout out to the new rock stars. Shout out to the Cosmic Wonder. They've been a great help to further our understanding. We're obviously not experts on Marvel, but we do, we're very passionate about Marvel in general and especially WandaVision. So more episodes that come out are going to be about WandaVision, but we're also going to jump into some maybe more Marvel movies as well as even some other movies and shows, because obviously the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Movies, it's not the Hitchhiker's Guide to Marvel. So exactly. We're going to be talking about a bunch of array of different movies, and stay tuned for also that Harry Potter episode, because we are still going to have to do that one as well.
Yeah, we just had some scheduling conflicts on that one. Yeah. But I know, we have been talking a lot about Wanda, talking a lot, focusing on Marvel mainly. But I think once WandaVision kind of wraps up, we can change gears a little bit. Yeah. Add a few different things into it, and we might even do some audio-only episodes.
Yeah, so guys, definitely check us out on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. All links are going to be down in the description below. Shout out to your friend who actually made this logo for us. Definitely want to give him a shout out.
Shout out to Brett. Yeah. My coworker, and he's also a comic book lover too, so this was definitely something that he enjoyed doing. Yeah. We can't thank you enough for this amazing logo.
Yeah, thank you. And anything left to say?
No, I think that's it. I think we got it all. Yeah. And let's wrap it up.
Yeah, so stay tuned, guys, for new movies. If you guys just don't watch WandaVision, that's completely fine. We're going to be diving deeper into some other movies and hopefully some other rabbit holes. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, like, share this with your friends and family, any other Marvel fans, any movie fans. There's definitely going to be some interesting content going on further. We shoot this episode Saturday, so I think you guys will have it either Sunday or Monday. We're going to be try to be a little bit more consistent with our uploading, but stay tuned. Probably Monday is your best bet for when this episode will release. And merch is definitely coming soon. So if you guys are excited to get that, stay tuned for that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and signing off, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Movies.
Peace out, everybody.